Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lori, and we're going to do something with the little vintage fabric pieces that I got and I showed you guys in the last video. I had them piled up on my dining room table literally all week thinking, I need to get them ironed. I need to put them away. But no, I decided today I'm going to pull from that pile that I have now brought into my sewing room, and I'm going to put together some fabrics and I'm going to make a bag out of them. So follow me along today on this journey of making a bag with my vintage fabric. Oh my goodness, there's just so many pieces that I love. I love this piece. This was part of a vintage apron. So, I mean, who knows what all this has been on before, but I'm gonna guess this might be flour sack fabric, which is really old. I love all of these pieces and I feel like that looks really good together. Let me take a few more of those. Okay, I bought this little panel mostly because I like the pink fabrics. I don't really like the polka dots, so I think I'm just gonna cut those out. Also really love this floral, and I love the color of green. I think that's going to actually go together really good with that. Okay, the first thing we have to do is we have to decide how big of squares we want to cut. And I think for myself, the way I'm going to determine it is see how big some of these little bits of fabric is, and I might just go with that. So kind of looking at this one here, this is about 2 inches. So yeah, I think I might go with 2-inch squares. That will make them a little bit smaller because those 2-inch squares will have a seam in them. So it'll actually make them a little bit smaller. But I think I'm just going to start cutting out 2-inch squares and we're going to go from there. Okay, before I get started, I wanted to talk about how I'm actually going to cut out those 2-inch squares. You could just use a straight edge like this, and you could make your 2-inch cuts with that and a rotary cutter. But I'm actually going to use this quilter square. This is a 5-inch quilter square, and you can use this to make your 2-inch squares by using this. So this is actually what I'm going to use. Let's get started. Okay, I actually decided I'm going to use the straight edge on this large piece just to cut a long piece first, and then I'll use this to make all my shortcuts. So okay, as I'm looking at all my vintage pieces, I just feel like there needs to be some kind of a lighter color in there. So I grabbed this piece. It looks like a piece that came off of a pillowcase that somebody hand embroidered, which is beautiful. And I think I'm going to take a little embroidery piece and I'm going to make sure there's a little bit of lace that's on that, and I'm going to incorporate this into the bag. I'm pretty excited about it. I love vintage. Have I told you guys that? I'm going to talk about where I think my love for vintage came from. Okay, I want to share a little bit about my background with vintage and just my love for vintage. So I would say I grew up in a home that didn't love vintage. I grew up in a ranch style home. My mom had newer things, like newer as in 1970s, 1980s, but it was my grandma's house that had the old things. And I loved my grandma and I loved going to her house. We lived in the ranch style home. She lived a quarter mile up the road in a beautiful valley. And she lived in an old 2-story white farmhouse on 200 acres with beautiful trees and pastures and cattle and barns and all of the things that you can imagine in a beautiful country life. That's what my grandma had. Was it fancy? No, not at all. But it was beautiful to me because it held the person that I loved so dear. When I would come into grandma's house, she had a Dutch door and the door would open, which was really cool. When I was little, I remember her opening that door and she would say goodbye to us through the top part of that Dutch door. When you came into grandma's house, the floor, I don't know, I don't think we were stepping hard, but when we would walk across her dining room floor, the china cabinet, the glass in it would rattle. And in her china cabinet was beautiful things. I mean, I thought they were beautiful. There were like silver teapots and beautiful floral plates, things that I knew I shouldn't touch as a child, but they were there at grandma's house. In about 2006, I was able to go to the Country Living Fair in Georgia. I mean, this is before there were fairs everywhere, and I was so excited to go. I had looked through the magazine also before Pinterest, and I was excited to see a lot of the vendors that I saw in the magazine. It was absolutely thrilling to me to see what they had to bring. And I loved buying bags out of vintage fabrics. And I loved the typewriter jewelry and all of the things that were so popular back then. And then in 2013, I was able to start my own business where I sold vintage items. And then I just kind of transformed into running my own handmade business. But my love for vintage has not ended. And that brings me back to this piece of fabric. I'm so excited to be able to cut it and just bring a little bit of charm into this bag. It's exciting. Let's get started. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start laying out the pieces of the bag. We're just going to start playing around with what we like. I'm just not really sure. I'm just going to start laying them out and then we'll just adjust them as we see fit. So there's not really a rhyme or a reason to getting started. Okay, on these pieces here, I just need to decide if I want to use this side or this side. I think I might use the lighter side. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stack up one row at a time, and then I am going to sew the fabric together in strips. And so it doesn't really matter how you stack it, but you want to stack it and use it in exactly the same way. When you're done sewing, your strip should look something like this. It's important that all of your seams on the back are the same width so that your little squares will line up with the next set of squares. So when I'm done, I take this and I lay it down, making sure that it's in exactly the same order as I picked it up. And then I continue on with my other rows. Here we go. Okay, now that you have each strip sewn together, you're going to take your strip over to iron and you're going to iron each of these open. They're pretty small, but you're going to get your iron in there. You're going to open it up and iron this flat. You're going to put one panel on top of the other panel, and you're going to line up the seams, and then you're going to sew them together. Okay, I'm going to be careful here to line up the seams of each square so that they meet perfectly. And it's okay if there's just a little bit of discrepancy. I'm okay with that. But this is how we line it up. And then we will go ahead and sew the two pieces together. Okay, now we have two pieces that are sewn together. I'm gonna keep doing the same with the other 3 strips. I guess I have 3 more strips, and I'll show you when it's all together. Okay, I did not sell anything. I sewed all of the panels together, and I think it turned out so cute. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my bag pattern to cut out the front out of this piece. I'm gonna sew together my back piece, and then I'm going to stitch together a bag. It's gonna be so cute, and I cannot wait to show you guys. Oh, by the way, this is the back. This is what it should look like on the back side. I'm just gonna tell you, let's see. You can see on this piece that it did kind of flip over. For what I am making, it is not gonna make a difference that it did that. So I'm super excited about the way this turned out. Here we are, a fresh new day. I have probably 35 minutes before I have to leave. I teach an exercise class in the mornings. So let's talk about the progress I made yesterday. So I got all of the panels stitched together, all the little pieces, and then I put on some fusible interfacing on the back. I have this label sitting here ready to sew on, and then of course I will put my bag together. I also have to pick fabric for the lining of my bag, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, I'm not going to finish before I go to my exercise class, but this is where I'm at. I've got the bag ready to sew together. I have my strap. I've got my little, I don't actually know what you call these. I'm going to call them my little strap tabs. You're going to put these in through the D-ring, and then they're going to get sewn into the bag. I have my lobster clasps, and I've got a buckle for the strap. This is going to wait until after my exercise class. See you guys in a bit. Well, the bag is finished, you guys. I think it looks so good. All of these little vintage bits. I was wondering like what piece might be my favorite, kind of looking at the bag. And I really love the embroidered pieces that are from the pillowcase bits that were there. There's a couple on this side too, the little lavender one and the pink one. But also, I just love how it all coordinates together. It wasn't much looking at this bin of little bits of fabric. Trust me. And it took a lot of work to wash them and iron them and get them ready. But I think it turned out perfect. And now all we have to do is attach the strap that I made. These are the bags that I sell, and you can adjust the strap. You can wear it as a crossbody across your chest. You can lengthen the strap, wear it a little bit longer. And then one of the other fun parts about our bags is you can also wear it as a fanny pack. Sometimes you just really want to be totally hands-free. I love this for when I'm walking the dog, maybe going for a hike, sometimes when I'm shopping as well. She's cute, huh? I think the part about this that makes me the most excited is all of this vintage fabric, it was going to be thrown away. And I saved it from getting tossed in the trash. That is the best way of upcycling. This bag is a sustainable product. We saved it from being thrown away. And look what it is. It's so cute, isn't it? Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode on what I did with the vintage fabric. I think we did good. I hope that you're able to tune into future videos. If you want to, hit the subscribe button. That will make sure that you're able to connect with this channel again. Also, hitting the like button lets me know that you're enjoying this content. And of course, I love comments, so leave those down below. Well, it's a beautiful day outside, and we are so lucky to get to live this life. Have a happy day.